Salvete omnes. This is chapter 45, exercise B, focusing on substantive clauses of purpose, otherwise known as indirect commands. Your instructions are to translate the Latin sentences into English and parse at your leisure. That is, if you run into trouble, please parse to find your way out of the trouble. Starting with prima, sententia prima. Petitis ne a me, ut ad Hispaniam vobiscum navigam? So, petitis ne. The ne tells you, like Spanish has an upside down question mark at the beginning, that we have a question here. This is not a declarative, but an interrogative. Meep, meep. Notice the question mark at the end. So, if it confuses you, go ahead and translate this normally without a question and then make it a question at the end. The ne tells us we're expecting a yes or a no. So petitis. So petitis, tis, second person plural, present of petto, petere, petivi, petitus. It is active and indicative. So petitis by itself is ye, seek, go for, aim at, ask of, if we are followed by of in the ablative. If it's a question, if it's an interrogative, do ye ask, do ye seek. Me, of plus the ablative, meaning away from or by. Me, ego, mei, mihi, me. This is the ablative going with me. Peto, me, to ask of someone in the ablative. Do ye ask of me? Are y'all asking me? And then what are you asking me? What's that thing that you're asking me? What are you asking me to do? What do you want? What are you willing me to do? What noun clause are you willing me to do? Substantive clause of purpose. Introduced by ut. So that. Ad takes the accusative motion towards Hispaniam, to Spain, vobiscum. It's vobis, vos vestrum vobis, vos vobis, with the cum preposition ablative of accompaniment following it, like mecum, tecum, secum, nobiscum, vobiscum. It's with y'all, with ye, fitting because the subject is second person plural. So this better be too. With y'all, with ye. Navigam. So we have present tense here, primary sequence. We have present subjunctive in the dependent clause. Navigam, first person singular, present active subjunctive of navigo, navigare, navigavi, navigatus, to sail. Are y'all asking me to sail to Spain with y'all? Do ye ask me, do ye ask of me, so that I may sail with ye to Spain? Secunda, sententia secunda. Tribunus imperat, ut itinere helvetios prohibeant. So a tribunus, the leader of a tribe, a three partition of the people originally. You can see the tri there, three. Tribunus. So tribunus, masculine, a tribune. Imperat, impero, imperare, imperavi, imperatus, orders or commands. Present tense takes the dative if he were to order someone. The object is a dative because impero is an intransitive verb. Tribunus imperat, the tribune orders, commands. What does he command? What does he order? A noun clause. This is what he orders. So that itinere, the ablative, singular, neuter of iter, itineris, neuter, journey, route, march. Helvetios, accusative, plural of Helvetius, aum, meaning people of Helvetia. These are the Swiss. Probably going to be the direct object, because I don't see a preposition in front of Helvetios. I'm not even going to mess with that itinere ablative yet. Prohibeant. Well, that explains the itinere ablative. Prohibeant. Prohibeo, prohibere, prohibui, prohibitus. To prohabeo, hold out in front of you. Keep away, hold away. Prohibeant. So, second conjugation, that explains the subjunctive form. We are in primary sequence. Imperat. So we must have present subjunctive. So prohibe is the stem, add the a, then the unt. So keep the direct object helvetios away from their ablative of separation, route, or march. And you don't need a or de or ax indicating separation here because that information is contained in the verb. So the few times the Romans are just like, yeah, it's already in the verb. No need to put a preposition there. So the tribune commands so that they may keep the Helvetians from their route, from their march. The tribune orders them to keep the Helvetians from their march. Tertia, sententia tertia, ille princeps barbaros fratri persuadebit, ut regnum in civitate occupet. So ille princeps. Which princeps? Which one is that? It's ille. It's that one far away. Ille, illa, illud is far away over there. It's the third person demonstrative over there with someone far away, as opposed to hic, haec, hoc, which is right here close by and is a first person demonstrative because it's near you. It's closest to you. Ille is far away, closest to some other person. So ille princeps, masculine, singular subject, princeps, principes, masculine, prince, chieftain, leader. It can also be an adjective meaning leading, first person, principal. Here it means that chieftain. That yonder, far off chieftain Barbarus, Barbarus aum, barbarian, savage, foreign. Barbarus, barbarian to the Romans just meant non-Roman. Doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation like, ugh, savages. It sometimes does. I mean, Caesar kind of writes it that way because he has problems with stereotyping certain peoples. But really, the word just means non-Roman. Originally, it's a Greek word, barbaroi, and to the Greeks, it meant non-Greek. So at one point, the Romans were barbaroi. They themselves were barbarians. That barbarian, that foreign chieftain, fratri persuadebit, will persuade, third person singular of persuadeo, persuadere, persuasi, persuasus, takes the dative. That's why fratri is in the dative of frater, fratris, masculine brother. So that foreign chieftain will persuade his brother. What will he persuade him to do? A noun clause, a whole substantive noun clause, so that he may seize, occupo, occupare, occupavi, occupatus, may seize. We had the present subjunctive because we are in primary sequence. This is the future tense. Seize kingship, kingdom, power. You can say throne or crown, which are idiosyncratic items that usually go with a king or queen. In civitate, in plus the ablative of location, civitas, civitatis, feminine, state, a collection of cives, citizens. That's a state. That foreign chieftain will persuade his brother to seize the throne in his state. That foreign chieftain will persuade his brother so that he may seize the throne, the crown, in his state. Optime, quarta, sententia quarta. Caesar ab eis postulavit, ut decem ex principibus ad se adducerentur. Oh yeah, that's never good. So Caesar, hey, that guy. Caesar is masculine. Caesar, that dude. So he's the subject, nominative subject. Plus the ablative, motion away from, or it could be working with a verb, or it could be a personal agent. Ab eis, the ablative plural of is id. Postulavit. Postulavit is third singular perfect active indicative of postulo, postulare, postulavi, postulatus, and it means to demand. So Caesar demanded, perfect tense, ab eis, of them, from them. It is an ablative of separation, technically. Caesar demanded from them. In English, we say of. Caesar demanded of them. Caesar demanded from them. What did he demand from them? What that they do? Substantive clause of purpose, so that they Decem, that's 10, and it's an indeclinable adjective. Numbers are adjectives. Ax takes the ablative, showing separation. Principibus, princeps, principes masculine, chieftain leading first. So principibus, ex principibus, from the chieftains. Ad se, ad plus the accusative, motion toward, so se is accusative. Now, se is a reflexive pronoun. You should always be able to circle the reflexive and draw an arrow to the subject. Now, the question becomes, what's the subject here? We've got this subject here, third plural, and this subject here, Caesar. When we have a clause like this that is first conceived in the mind of a person, like Caesar first thought that he should demand of 10 of the chieftains to be led to him, he means himself, that the chieftains be led to he himself, Caesar. So be careful when you're deciding who's the subject that the reflexive refers. So circle the se, it refers to the subject Caesar, who's the subject of this verb, because this clause was conceived inside his mind. It comes from him, Caesar, originally, so he is referring to himself. 10 of the chieftains, this is the partitive idea with numerals is usually used with the ablative. Typically with the ablative, not quite with the genitive, but partitive is typically a genitive thing. 10 from the chieftains, might be led, third plural imperfect, passive subjunctive, might be led, ad se, to him. Notice the ad is there, and it's also right there. Now, imperfect subjunctive because we are in secondary sequence. The main verb is perfect tense. Caesar demanded of them that 10 of the chieftains be led to him. Caesar demanded of them so that 10 of the chieftains might be led to him. Quinta, sententia quinta. Agricolam senem adducere teptabat, ut sibi pecuniam daret. They're attempting to extort money from that poor old man. So agricolam senem, agricola, I, masculine farmer, agricolam is the accusative, probably going to be the direct object, singular masculine of some verb. Senem, senex, senes, it is an adjective, means old man. I mean, it sounds like a noun. I know, but it means old, like it usually means old man. It's never used of woman. There is another word for old woman. Ask me sometime for it. So agricolam senem, an old farmer, old man farmer, meh, old farmer, get off his lawn. Adducere, present active infinitive of adduco, adducere, adduxi, adductus, and then temptabant, temptabant. Third plural imperfect active indicative of tempta, temptare, temptavi, temptatus. So they were trying, they were attempting, imperfect. They kept on doing this in the past. What did they keep on trying to do? They kept trying to, complementary infinitive, adducere, to influence, to lead this agricolam, this old man, ad, to do something. That's how this means influence. They were trying to influence the old farmer, old man farmer. He lives down the road. What did they attempt to get him to do? What did they try and exhort him to do? Ut sibi pecuniam daret, so that sibi. Okay, so once again, another reflexive. Is the reflexive referring to the subject of daret or the subject of temptabant? Well, this idea that this old man should give them money was conceived in the idea of these people trying to influence him. So the subject of temptabant. The sibi refers to the subject of temptabant, just like se referred to the subject Caesar because the indirect command originated from him. It came from his brain. The idea that the old man should give them money, it came from their brains. So they were trying to influence the old man so that he, the old man, daret, might give money to them, give money to dative, them, indirect object. So this is imperfect subjunctive because we are in secondary sequence, temptabant. Sexta, sententia sexta. Te rogabo utas litteras ad consulem portes. So te rogabo. Te is either the accusative or the ablative of to. I guess it's going to be accusative because I cheated and looked at rogabo, which is right there. It's a transitive verb. Screams out for an accusative direct object, just like te. So rogabo, rogo, rogare, rogavi, rogatus, to ask. Rogabo, I will ask you. I will ask you. What will I ask you? Some sort of substantive noun clause. Ut, so that, has litteras ad consulem portes. Has, the accusative plural feminine, os ending, of hic, haec, hoc, agreeing with litteras, of littera I feminine, meaning letter of the alphabet in the singular, plural, a collection of letters. That's a letter like an epistle that you mail. So this letter, odd plus the accusative, motion towards, of consul, consulis masculine is consulem, motion towards the consul, and then portes is second person singular, present, active, subjunctive of porte, portare, portavi, portatus. The stem is porta, change the A to the E, that's how you get porte, and add the S, second person singular. You may carry. I will ask you so that you may carry this letter to the consul. I will ask you to carry this letter to the consul. I'm willing you, asking, willing, it's kind of like an order or command, you to carry this letter to the consul. It's an ask from your parents. It's like when your parents ask you, please take out the trash. Huh, silly. My parents never asked me to take out the trash. They commanded me to. Septima, sententia septima. Petiverunt ne agervanis ne secum pugnarent, an constituerunt bellum gerere. Ah, yes, the age-old question. Petiverunt ne. So once again, like number one, we start with the ne, so it's an interrogative. Same verb too. So did they ask? The third plural, perfect, active, indicative of peto, petere, petivi, petitus. Did they ask? Plus ab, separation from the Germans. Did they ask from the Germans? Did they ask of the Germans? So ablative of separation of Germanosaon, the germs. And what did they ask of the Germans? Ne secum pugnarent. Ah, we have ne, so that they not do something. So a negative indirect command. So we have perfect tense, secondary sequence, imperfect subjunctive, third plural of pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus, active voice, so that they might not fight secum with them. Who's the them? This is a reflexive, remember? Secum, the subject of petiverunt, the person who conceived of this idea that the Germans please not fight with them. So did they ask the Germans not to fight with them? An constituerunt bellum gerere. Or, so when we use on, that means that we have one option or another option, and then picking one cancels out the other. Constituerunt, or did they decide, bellum gerere, and then constituo often takes a complementary infinitive because you decide to do something, to wage war. Did they ask the Germans not to fight with them, or did they decide to wage war? Excellent age-old question. Optime, octava, sententia octava. Consul copias barbaras monuit, ut iter per fines galorum maxima cum claritate facerent. So consul, the nominative singular masculine subject, consul's going to be doing something to the copias barbaras in the accusative direct object. Accusative of copiae, aurum, feminine plural, forces, troops. Barbaros barbaras, copias barbaras, monuit. So the consul monuit, third person singular, perfect active indicative of moneo, monere, monui, monitus. So the consul warned or advised the direct object, the foreign forces, the barbarian troops. What did he advise or warn them to do? Ut, so that. This is an indirect command, substantive clause of purpose. So that iter, so the root, either going to be nominative or accusative because it's neuter, can't tell which. I looked ahead, it's the accusative because the verb is vagrant. So we'll just wait till we get to the verb at the end to figure out which one it is. Per is the preposition taking the accusative. Per fines, the accusative of finis, masculine. And the plural finis can mean territory, because it means boundary, end, finish. Here means through the territory. Gallorum, of the Gauls, genitive plural of Gallusa, of the Gauls. A route through the territory of the Gauls. Maxima cum celeritate. This is an ablative of manner. Notice the word order, adjective, cum, and then the noun. The cum is optional. If you have an adjective modifying the noun, the cum is optional. However, if there were no adjective, if it were just cum claritate, you must have the preposition. So maxima, this is the superlative, greatest. With greatest speed, very speedy. Facerent, so perfect tense, secondary sequence, imperfect subjunctive, third plural, active of facio, facere, feci, factus, so that they, meaning the barbarian forces, might make a journey, make a route or march, we can just say march, so that they might march through the territory of the Gauls with greatest speed. The consul warned the foreign troops to march through the territory of the Gauls with the greatest speed. Nona, sententia nona. Dux mandat, ut omnes aedui sibi tella et arma omnia tradant. I don't know if that's such a great idea, guys. Dux mandat. So dux, nominative singular masculine subject of dux, ducus, masculine, leader. So the leader, mando, mandare, mandavi, mandatus, third person singular present active indicative, mandat. So the leader orders, commands. The leader lays down some instructions. In the present tense, primary sequence, our subjunctive verb should be present tense. Ut, there's our indirect command. Omnes aedui sibi tella et arma omnia tradant. So omnes, nominative or accusative, plural, masculine or feminine, from omnis, omne, meaning all or every. Aedui, the Aedui are a tribe. They were a very prominent and important tribe of the Gauls. So that is the nominative plural masculine Aedui. So omnes Aedui means all Aedui, all of the Aedui, all the Aedui. Sibi is a reflexive. It should refer back to the subject. Now, don't refer back to tradant, the subject of this verb in this clause, because this indirect command, omnes aedui sibi tella et arma omnia tradant, that was conceived in the mind of the dux. It came from him. He's the one that ordered it. So the sibi, the reflexive, refers back to the dux. So to him, he wants all the Aedui to do something for him, sibi. Tella et arma omnia. Tella, nominative or accusative plural neuter of tellum e neuter, weapons, throwing weapons, offensive weaponry. I'm going to guess that it is the accusative because we already have the nominative subject omnes Aedui. So tella is the direct object. So the leader instructs all the Aedui to do something about weapons for him. Et arma, the arma, those are defensive weapons like armor. So weapons and arms. Omnia, all of them. Omnia agrees with arma, can also agree with tella, all of their weapons and arms. Tradant, trans, to hand across, to give over. Trado, tradere, tradidi, traditus, to surrender. So you surrender a direct object in the accusative to a dative in the indirect object. Dux mandat ut omnes aedui sibi tella et arma omnia tradant. The leader instructs all the Aedui to surrender their weapons and all of their weapons and arms to him, meaning the leader. The leader commands so that all of the Aedui may surrender all their weapons and arms to him. En decima sententia decima, cives milites rogaverunt, necas reprope urbem ponerent. So the cives milites rogaverunt. So cives or milites, either one could be the subject or the direct object. I'm going to guess that cives is going to be the subject because it's first, but something could change my mind later on down the line. So cives, nominative or accusative, plural, masculine, feminine of civis, civis, meaning citizen. Milites, from miles, militis, masculine, meaning soldier. It could be nominative or accusative. I'm guessing it's accusative. Rogaverunt, third plural perfect active indicative of rogo, rogare, rogavi, rogatus, meaning to ask. So they asked. I'm going to guess that the citizens asked the soldiers, but I can change my translation down the line. What did the citizens ask the soldiers? Necas reprope urbem ponerent, that they not do something, lest they do something. Don't do this thing. Ne, the negative, cas reprope, castra is castra, castrorum, neuter plural camp, either nominative or accusative. Prope, preposition meaning nearby, takes the accusative, that explains urbem, the accusative of urbs, orbis, feminine, city, and ponerent is pono, ponere, posui, positus. It is third person plural, imperfect active indicative. So they might not, ne ponerent, they might not pitch or put up castra camp, castra being the accusative direct object of ponerent. Prope urbem, near the city. The citizens asked the soldiers not to pitch camp near the city. The citizens asked the soldiers lest they pitch camp near the city, so that they might not pitch camp near the city. Rogaverunt is perfect tense secondary sequence, which explains the imperfect subjunctive ponerent in the dependent subjunctive clause. Optime! Well done. That was exercise B. You are now ready to move on to the next and final exercise of chapter 45. Optime et valete.